One of the major problems in audio processing is dealing with breaths. Sometimes it can be light, and sometimes it can be heavy, and removing or reducing those breaths can be tricky. Now, with most audio effects, the process is simple. If we want to reduce noise, for example, we open a noise reduction effect like denoise, configure a few settings, and apply it. That is the standard workflow for applying effects. Because of that, many people look for a similar workflow to remove breaths in the audio. But if you explore Adobe Audition, or any other audio editing software, you will quickly notice something: there is no built-in effect that can automatically remove breaths. This kind of processing always requires third-party plugins. Today, I will show you a few of those plugins, demonstrate how they work, and explain the pros and cons. The first effect we'll look at is Accusonus ERA De-Breath. Let's open the plugin and test it on a recording. You can search on Google for Accusonus ERA and you will find free download link. You can also join my school classroom to get the necessary links and advanced level audio editing tutorials. You will find the school link in the description. I will first check with the default settings. I had made some changes, so I will load the default preset. The sensitivity slider sets the aggressiveness of the plugin. The more sensitivity you set, the more aggressive it will be to detect breaths. The processing knob is for what to do with the detected breaths. Let's see it in action, and we will understand. On the waveform, you can spot some waveforms of breaths. We would expect the plugin to detect those breaths and do something about them. While I will play the audio, the breaths will be highlighted in blue line inside the plugin. Let's play and watch.
Preparation and execution are important for the folks that attend, as they will take away that much more from the event. Keep in mind and
You could see that as the voice passes through the sections where breaths occur, the blue lines light up, showing that the plugin is successfully detecting them. I will play some part again and watch.
that much more from the event. Keep in mind and make sure those you invite, if you plan to add.
We can now apply these default settings to see what happens to the breaths. With these default settings applied, the breaths shrink in the waveform, but they are not completely gone. If we listen back, you'll hear that some breathing remains.
That much more from the event. Keep in mind and make sure those you invite, if you plan to add.
So let's undo this processing. Now, let's open the plugin again. This time, instead of keeping the default, let's raise the processing percent while leaving sensitivity at 6. As we saw with the sensitivity at 6, the plugin detected the breaths. I will set the processing to 62%. There is no hard rule about what percentage to set. I am just trying with different values to see what does not affect the audio. After applying it, the waveform looks much cleaner.
That much more from the event. Keep in mind and make sure those you invite, if you plan to add friends.
Listening back, the breaths are now much less noticeable. So yes, the plugin is working. But here is the problem: if you process the entire recording this way, you may hear something unintended. In some cases, parts of actual words are reduced along with the breaths. That is the risk of automated breath removal. It can detect incorrectly and process your voice, not just your breathing. Another option is iZotope RX, which includes a module called Breath Control. When you open RX Breath Control, you'll see it has two modes, target mode and gain mode. In target mode, you set a level, for example, -30 dBFS. If a breath is louder than that, the plugin automatically reduces it down to the target level. In gain mode, the plugin reduces the breath by a set amount, based on the gain slider. Both modes depend on sensitivity. Increasing sensitivity makes the plugin more aggressive in detecting breaths. Let's do a test. With sensitivity at about 60%, play the audio. Watch the detection meter. You'll see that some sections are flagged as breaths, but not all of them are actual breaths.
That much more from the event. Keep in mind and make sure those you invite, if you plan to add friends and/or family.
In fact, sometimes parts of normal speech are mistakenly marked as breaths.
Keep in mind and make sure those you invite, if you plan to add friends and/or family,
To hear exactly what the plugin is detecting, you can enable the option called Output Breaths Only. This isolates the sections RX thinks are breaths. And when you listen, you may notice that parts of your words are included. That shows the algorithm isn't perfect. So while RX Breath Control can detect the breaths, it also marks some spoken words as breaths. If you apply it blindly, you risk altering the voice itself. You may ask, why these plugins make the mistake of marking actual voice as breaths? The reason is that sometimes the audio data in breaths and voices may not be easily distinguishable. The loudness of some words can be lower than the loudness of breaths. The waveform pattern of breaths and some words may be similar. The frequency pattern of breaths can be identical to talking parts. Due to all these complexities, the DeBreath effects can fail sometimes. Because these plugins can make mistakes, many professionals still rely on manual editing for high-quality projects like voiceovers and audiobooks. Here's how that works. Record or capture a few seconds of room tone. When you find a distracting breath, highlight it. Paste in a small piece of room tone to replace it. This method is slower, but it guarantees that no part of your actual performance is accidentally removed. The result is natural and safe, especially when quality matters most. So here's the takeaway. Plugins like Accusonus ERA De-Breath and iZotope RX Breath Control can save time. But they are not perfect. They may work well on one recording and fail on another. For professional projects, audiobooks, voiceovers, anything where quality cannot be compromised, manual editing is the safest and most accurate method. For podcasts or casual content creation, plugins can be a good option if you test your settings and double-check the results. If you want to dive deeper into these workflows, I cover them in my school community, along with training on advanced audio cleanup and enhancement techniques. Inside, you'll also find lessons on mastering loudness and building consistent processing chains. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.